Hail Internet, it's Paul, it's Matt, the Dork Lords. Today, we're talking about the 8th episode, the new AppleTv sci-fi series Plur1bus, the episode entitled Charm Offensive. One could argue that both Carol and the hive mind are enacting a charm offensive, but I think the title's referring more to the hive mind's activities, a la rebuilding and repopulating Carol's favorite diner that burned down. We open with Manusos waking up in a Panamanian hospital. The hive mind urges him to stay in bed to recover, but he takes an orderly hostage with a scalpel, demands an itemized bill, adds the cost of an ambulance, and drives said ambulance away bound for Albuquerque. We end 60 days after the hive's takeover. Carol and Zosha have had sex. Carol has written the first chapter of a new Waikaro novel, making her hero Raban a woman as she originally intended. And Zosha is accessing her individual memories of her favorite ice cream, mango. We see Zosha zone out for a second, accessing the hive mind apparently. Then she tells Carol she's about to receive a visitor. Cut to Manusos crossing the border from Mexico into the U.S. Credits. All that said, Paul.
Matt.
What'd you think of episode 8?
Yeah, it definitely feels like a penultimate episode. Because everything's building up and
yep.
It's interesting where they are now, right? At the end of it, Carol and Zosha. Interestingly, too, I mean, it's not just the fact that Zosha's obviously living with Carol now. She's not sleeping with
right,
the Masses anymore.
Yep, they're in the kitchen chopping up stuff. Yeah.
And, the hive mind is providing a radio station for her. That's pretty interesting. So, yeah, that's all that's interesting. And I feel like I need to bring up again the thing that Zosha said in the second episode, which is, we can't protect you from each other.
Okay. In other words, the hive can't protect Carol from the other unaffected, is what you're saying.
Yes. And in this case, Manusos.
Manusos.
How is he going to feel when he gets there and he sees the kind of life she's living?
Well, not just the kind of life she's living, but the fact that she's living with one of the hive minds.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I thought you meant just like, hey, well, look at the struggles I've had. Here you are living in suburbia, getting your oranges. No. Okay.
No, life as she's living it now is with Zosha.
You got together. A cop car. I only got an ambulance. Okay. No. Right. Yes. How would he respond to? Because obviously he seems very committed to the idea of. That whole itemized bill thing. There's some other stuff about that I'll talk about later. But just the idea that he's like, I want to pay for what's happened to me, but not you, because you're a hive. I mean, I want to pay the individual hospital. I assume at some point you will be gone, and I'll be able to actually recompense the individuals that were involved in all this. So just that whole, he's going to be not pleased.
Yeah, it seems interesting that his assessment of the situation required him to hold that, nurse with a scalpel. It's like,
yeah. I mean, I'll say this then. This is just something that's puzzled me a little bit, and it's what's the threshold to trigger the hive to suffer casualties? Right, we've seen obviously Carol angrily screaming triggers them. We saw that a couple of times.
Yes,
but Manusos threatening to kill one of them by cutting his throat doesn't trigger them. No. So it's interesting. Like apparently, like physical threats maybe don't bother them so much. Like if they were just sensing anger and resentment, I think you'd be triggered by Manusos. I think inside he's boiling over with resentment. He sets his car on fire. F you!
Perhaps his style is more soothing than it is.
Right. It's like not the vitriolic outburst. Or whatever.
And Carol definitely had those. I mean, they were Rhea Seahorn. She definitely understood the brief.
But it's just interesting because that plot point, the unaffected's ability to harm the hive, That is
Yes.
that is way too important to have just been dropped, whatever, episode 4 or whatever, when they last talked about it. So if I had to guess, in fact, I feel like we almost see another like raw negative emotion harming the hive maybe in the finale, like just as a reminder, like you guys can do that, like anyway. So I don't know, is that through Carol, is that through maybe Manusos finally like cracks to the point of expressing his rage? I don't know, but I wouldn't be surprised if we saw something like that in the finale.
That makes sense. I wonder if it's if Carol is so connected to Zosha now, if even if Manusos expressed his anger to Carol, whether or not Zosha might feel it.
Or that might make Carol angry. Maybe it's Carol and Manusos fighting amongst themselves, like verbally, like arguing, that causes it. I don't know, but could be. There's a lot of ways that could come about. But I feel like we're going to be reminded of that again.
Sure.
Carol is getting intel from Zosha at the same time as they're having this relationship, and so one of the things that we get confirmed is that at least one of the hive mind's prime directives is to, quote, pay it forward.
Yes.
To share their gift.
Yeah.
And as I was like, no matter how long it takes. And so we see Carol ask how they intend to do that. And we don't hear Zosha's response, but we cut to Carol writing on the whiteboard.
Sure.
Building giant antenna, using all power in the world to send signal to space. And you combine that with Carol pleading with Zosha, justifiably saying, like, this is unsustainable. This is a train wreck. I kind of feel confident in, like a prior assessment of mine that the hive's goal has been use the signal to find a species capable of building an antenna, co-opt that species, give them enough sustenance to survive long enough to send out another signal, and then just let the species die out, like a life cycle kind of thing. And that's kind of where I feel this has gone, right? That's like, you've only got 10 years to survive, but also, no matter how long it takes, we're going to build a giant antenna with all of the power in the world. I feel like that's where we're headed. Yeah.
I don't know. I actually. I have a number of problems with that. One is, unless they're going to put out a different message, why would you have a bunch of satellites that kill everyone who receives it, but now you've got these radio telescopes around?
There are certainly science-based problems with that theory of just like, just send a signal out, and obviously you don't direct it anywhere, and just happens to land on a culture that can interpret it, and then that culture can also build. I mean, I get it. There's a lot, but maybe in story terms, it's just like, this is what we're gonna do in this fiction. But I don't know. I mean, I think if you tried to scientifically recreate this, you'd have some real problems. But
one thing that people have said in the description of a virus certainly doesn't care if it kills its host.
Right.
And if it was something, I think it was you suggested, or maybe it was somebody else, that what we don't know, if this is some doomsday thing or some experiment that just came awry and it ended up killing the people who originated it, but not before they could spread it, and it would have the same effect on whoever
Right.
And
accidentally unleashed.
It's not for that purpose. It's just like, that's just the end result. That's just what happens. That's what they're trying to do.
Yeah, I mean, we heard that at least the species that predates ours, in terms of like the last group to have gotten the signal and send it on, is from this Plur1bus. They're like an all ocean planet or something. So it's like a water-based culture, apparently. But I think that suggests that there's been a series of these that have gone back through time, where this signal keeps carrying on through space until it finds the right host, essentially.
That's conjecture. There's nothing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's conjecture. Now, I'll say this:
states it.
One of our longtime, very erudite commenters, Dan, has convinced me that the hive mind is not nefarious per se. He's pulled me back from the ledge of some secret, sinister intent. Like, I'm way too caught up in secret agendas. I get it. It's conspiracy theories. But I would say that while not devious, I feel like this, if that's the way this is going to go, we're conserving all the power. People all sleep in their little We keep giant stadiums for the people so we can conserve the power, so we can save it for the antenna for the 10 years until you all starve to death. While it's not devious, it still results in basically humanity toiling as slaves for a few years until they either die of starvation or exhaustion. Anyway, but I get the idea that it's not necessarily a mustache twirling type thing, but it's just this is the life cycle of this particular life form.
Obviously, the question of how it works, and it's not like our world. It's only tangentially like our world. There's a lot to think about with this particular thing.
Yeah.
Especially the way that it was created makes me wonder. All that doesn't focus on Carol and what she wants, and so I believe that she still probably wants to do it, even if she's perhaps thinking more like.
When you say she wants to do it, what do you?
Carol
saying?
Still wants to save them. Perhaps the whole problem of them running out of food is the one that would keep them the way they are, but also get them fed. But whether or not she's able to stop it, whether or not the information about that radio frequency and all that, where that leads. Makes me start to think about, the questions that I still want answered are, do they imagine that if that phenomena was ended, would everybody be all right? Or back to where they were, even if maybe there's
right.
Psychic
or they
experience
just die
that
or
they
whatever,
would, experience that they would have to adjust to. And she hasn't asked that, and, they haven't really said. It's interesting to hear how the idea came about, where it's like, oh, what if somebody was, getting all their needs met or whatever, but that's not, there's no drama there. But obviously, if it's, against people's will, then okay, there is drama there. And so, Carol and Manusos, they're the ones who are the proxy. We'll see.
And they almost certainly have to have different ideas of how to handle this situation. If they come in and they're just like, hey, our interests align perfectly and now we're a team, that's not great drama. There's going to be some friction, and we're just not.
Another interesting thing that I don't think I talked about before is it's interesting that at the end of last episode, her first thought wasn't, let me try to make it up to all the people who are like me. It's an entreaty to the hive mind. So she's like, come back, you guys, as opposed to, hey, I'm sorry I was doing those terrible things to everybody else, and I'll try to get along better with you guys.
We do also learn here when they're getting the massages, and Carol uses the opportunity to kind of figure out, so the hive doesn't necessarily feel everything all at once. Like, they intellectually acknowledge the stimuli that are affecting the various members of the hive, without necessarily apparently feeling like an immediate reaction to it. You acknowledge it, you can sense that it's happening, but because it would just overwhelm them, they don't actually feel everything that everyone is feeling at every second of the day. Interesting point to note.
Yeah, and something else I feel too needs to be spoken of, even though, one of the reasons why is because I have to keep reminding myself that it's an issue, which is whether or not Zosha is really capable of consent. Obviously, they deliberately made Zosha make the first move.
Correct. And she made it at a very strategic time. When it seemed like Carol was almost about to have an emotional breakdown. You're like, no. Kiss her. There, she's saying, Carol's saying...
I think it's debatable whether or not she was going to have a one that was damaging to them or not.
Okay, fair enough. She was just saying, like, look, even if it means that I will be isolated again, I need to find a way to save humanity, essentially. And she was, the idea of being cut off and alone in the world again was obviously very stressful to her in this moment, and then
but I think what they were implying with the fact that Zosha really wanted to to connect is like you leaving me again. I think was that she was growing to really like that connection, and so I think that's what they were trying to suggest with that.
It's interesting. So commenter Neo's the One, which is an awesome YouTube handle, by the way.
It is, yeah.
I don't know. Neo wanted me to make a Circus Peanut bet about Carol's motives.
I love that they're like, how can we do it again to him?
Right. They want the Circus Peanut. So I told Neo in the comments that if we didn't get an answer in episode 8, which I don't think we definitively did, that I would wager a Circus Peanut, the worst tasting, widely distributed candy on the market. No argument there. I would.
Is there only
wager,
one that you have to eat?
Well, okay.
I'm just curious.
How many, Paul?
Did you only eat one the last time?
I kind of feel like I might have only eaten one last time. I mean, they're terrible.
Okay. No, I just, okay.
The worst, I will say this, was the salt licorice one. I only ate one, and I regretted every second of that. That is, I can't comprehend how people think that's candy. But anyway, okay. But Circus Peanuts are terrible enough. It tastes like I'm eating insulation material. But I'll tell you what. Just because you just brought it up, Paul. Yes. 2. I'll eat 2 Circus Peanuts. But the bet is on whether or not Carol is in fact genuine in her feelings for Zosha. So, in other words, is she getting intel from Zosha? Yes, she is. Though I believe that Carol's expressed emotions are legitimate. But I do think there's a faction of viewers that are waiting for Carol to reveal that this is all an act, that she duped the hive mind kind of into revealing their plan with the whole comeback thing and everything. And so if that happens, which I do not think is going to happen, I will eat multiple Circus Peanuts in our finale recap. There you go.
Okay, sure. Okay.
I mean, I feel like it's a really safe bet, frankly. But I'm like, sure.
I kind of feel like...
I'll eat nails. Okay, fine.
Yeah, yeah. Confident as I feel in that one, I feel like oh, you see this gun? Huh?
Well, pull back on that one, Paul. I don't know.
In the head.
So yeah, I feel like we have plenty of evidence that Carol is indeed emotionally taken with Zosha and just that desperate need for human connection and all that.
It's hard for me to imagine anything that she's learning and getting from that she could have gotten without having to have that relationship.
Yeah.
And they made a point, too, when Zosha kissed Carol to have her initially recoil.
Right.
And so then Carol decided to, indulge in
reciprocate.
So, yeah.
I'll say this, that diner scene was creepy in the way that it ended, right? So it's like, oh, look, that diner you like, that's where you were inspired to do your writing. Yeah, right. Well, here it is. And it's like, as the scene goes along, first Carol's, in the middle of the scene, is like, wait, didn't this place burn down?
Yeah.
And like, wait, you rebuilt this place? Okay, that's a little odd. Yeah. Then she's like, yeah, my favorite waitress, Bree. Wait, is that her? Wait, should we find out she was living in Miami and they just brought her up to be the prop in this diner. Then we see the cars going by, and then as soon as Carol leaves the diner, the cars stop in the road. So it's like they were just driving as props back and forth to kind of just recreate, oh, this is what it might have been like for you back all those years ago. Like, it was creepy. Anyway, all right, good on you. Actually somewhat similar, I suppose, to Diabate recreating the James Bond scene, right? Like, hey, I need everybody here to just act this scene out. In this case, the scene is this old nostalgic diner moment from Carol's past.
Yeah, it's interesting that they created a scene with all those people behaving as if they needed to eat
Right.
And, apparently paying for the food.
Which, again, goes against that whole, they can't lie. I'm like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, I mean,
they can pretend.
Someone who was an actor to call it lying,
I know. I totally agree with your point. If it was humans doing it, you're like, oh, you can be, I always tell the truth, and yet I'm an actor. Yeah, I get that. But in this case, as like an alien virus thing, how does it differentiate? It would make, to me, it would be like, we just have this universal thing. Whatever comes out of this individual's mouth has to be what they consider to be true at that time. Anyway, it just shows that there's a distinction they can make. That's all. I brought this up before, though. I don't have to. Have to rehash this.
One of the ways in which stories are, have made us expect this is sort of like, those entities that don't understand, our ways and therefore can be tricked, or they're so bound by their logic that they, and certainly the whole thing about plants and all that does suggest that.
But actually, it just made me think of Galaxy Quest, which one of the central premises of that movie was that we were acting like starship captains and such, and then this alien race assumed it was true.
Yes, right.
And then they have to be confronted with the fact that no, actually, that was all made up. And it's a big moment of realization for them. So maybe that's what I'm thinking of. I'm thinking this alien race is like, oh, what? Acting? How do you even do that?
Yes.
But okay, never mind.
But these are humans who have all the knowledge of, other humans. So.
Other humans, exactly. Something that was a little interesting, and I don't know how this comes about later. I feel like this is like a plot point drop for later. But we learn a bit about Zosia's backstory.
Yes.
When she's talking about mango ice cream. So at age 10, she was poor and living in Gdansk, Poland.
Yes.
And yet we see her when we first meet her, back in episode 2, I think it is. We see her coming from Morocco. It's not terribly odd. People move for any number of reasons.
Sure.
I get that. But story-wise, you would think it would just make more sense, just simplify it to be like, she flies a plane from Poland. So, I don't know, I feel like there's a plot point to be revealed about how she ended up in Morocco, and maybe that's like a season 2 or something, whatever, but like, you would just think, why not just simplify the backstory and be like, yeah, I grew up in Morocco, and da-da-da-da-da, and here I am. Just to have her be in that different place, it seems important that she was from Morocco and not from Poland in that moment, but I don't know, maybe not. Anyway, just an observation. I was like, oh, okay. Interesting. Again, maybe this is nothing. Maybe this is just a script oversight, but this seems unlikely when Vince Gilligan. One of the pivotal plot points from this episode is Carol convincing Zosia to switch her pronouns, which Zosia does. Got a bit of difficulty, she's like, we, I, yeah. Now, I went back and checked, and when they're playing croquet, which is kind of well before Carol asks Zosia to stop saying we.
Yes.
Zosia informs Carol, it's still my turn while they're playing croquet.
Yes.
So I'm like, okay, well, she was using the my pronoun back then. Does that mean that, I don't know, maybe there are moments when Zosia feels more individualistic? I don't know. What do you take out of the fact that she actually didn't say we the whole time? I'll just say that, leading up to the,
Right,
I don't know.
Yeah. It's possible that those are things that, they're missing. The writers are missing. It's possible, or that might be as simple as explanation.
Improvised or something.
When Zosia was having that memory, expressing the memory, it did feel as if she, that it was special, that she was really reveling in it. And it's possible, though, that, it's no more special than if she were to think about a childhood memory from some other person if she accessed it.
Right.
She should have access
that occurred
to all
to me.
Those memories. So it's possible that it's no different. But, yeah, that certainly is a thing, perhaps, that we have to be... I'm sure people are speculating. I think I've heard people speculating that is there some way in which she's becoming separated because of this the nature of her relationship, and it's been going on for a little while now. So
right,
well, I guess
right.
we'll see. I'd be surprised if that happened, but it's certainly not. Like since I really don't know where this show is going,
right.
I had to say that it's a possibility.
I was kind of waiting. I think we mentioned it early on. That I was waiting for the Waikaro story to come back into somehow prominence in the plot, and so it has now. Again, like okay, yeah, because somehow that was again a very important plot point to just kind of leave. Like, oh yeah, she was an author, a really popular author. Okay, well, somewhere this is important, and so yeah, it's like now she's writing again. We get the idea that, and when this is the commenters that mentioned this too, there was a question of like, hey, what is creativity like in a hive mind where everyone knows everything else? And here they kind of say it like, look, no one's creating anything new, so this is great that you could write a book for us and we would enjoy it, So that's an interesting little nugget to tuck away as well of like this world, the rules of the world essentially.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, people have compared it to AI, and certainly if you were to ask AI to write a story, it would. And even though you talk about the quality of that story, I feel as if in terms of their effort, how much effort they put into it and all that a radio broadcast is not that much different than any task they would decide to perform. Should they be asked? It's like it's interesting. They decided to carry on that fake world that was around Carol at the diner. If they decided, hey, we'll have it appear, expand it out so that someone went to work to write their stories or whatever, which
this is where it connects in with Westworld, and suddenly it's like we created a Western saloon for you, and
right, yeah. So yeah, I mean, one of the things I was always been curious if she was actually able to make if Carol was able to make an argument towards them about is this really best for you?
Right. That's kind of where I thought she was going, and I think she was actually with that before she got kissed, when she was like, this is unsustainable. You don't get it. You can't even pick an apple off a tree and you're just going to die of starvation. What are you doing? Like they're trying to, I think she's trying to talk sense into them. Like, look, guys, what? Come on. Wait, snap out of it.
Yeah, I mean, that's possible. Or it may have been the traditional romantic comedy thing of we're from different words, we'll never
okay,
it's possible you could see it in that lens as well.
I got you. So all right, well, lots of shoes to drop or not drop for what will almost certainly be a season 1 cliffhanger, one would have to guess. There's just not enough time to do all the things that they, we've laid out a ton of stuff here.
Yes.
So interested to see what that cliffhanger is. You in the comments, if you have an idea for what you think the cliffhanger will be for season 1 and the finale. Remember, it's drops a day earlier. Put that in the comments, and we'll talk to everybody next time. Thanks so much, Paul. Appreciate it, good sir. And we'll see everybody next time. Bye.
Bye.